Azul Duel is a new two-player iteration of the classic Light family game. After playing the game a number of times, we're going to share our thoughts on it here on Legendary Tactics. So our review of Azul Duel, we're going to look at a few different aspects. We're going to look at the theme. We're going to look at the mechanics, the components. We played digitally, so that's going to be a bit interesting. Comparisons to other games, and then upside downsides. So let's start with the theme. How did you feel the theme, if any?
Well, I mean, it is an abstract game, so
It is.
you're not really there's not a ton of theme here besides like button playing. So
Yes. Yeah. It's it's an abstract, right?
yeah, I mean, there's the patterns and the chips are fine. They do what they're supposed to. But yeah, it's not really there's no real theme.
Yeah, no, it's and it's funny because I think that there are a lot of people that really love Azul and the beauty of it,
Yeah,
but it's
for sure.
interesting because it really is separate from theme. There is not a lot of action. There's a loose kind of story about that you're making, some sort of crafts and so forth,
Okay, yeah.
pottery or whatever it is. But yeah, it's not really tied in.
No,
So,
no.
but let's talk about the mechanics then. And you've played some as regular Azul,
Yep.
as have I. What did you like? I guess, well, instead of what did we like, maybe like what about the mechanics did you find different from the original game?
So I really I like the elegance of Azul Duel. I really do. I think it's really nicely laid out how you have to like not only build your obviously your tile build placing, but you also have to build your board,
Yes.
and you have to kind of use, and then you also have that little that wild card where you're also there's like a lot of different layers of gamesmanship going on in this game, and
Hmm.
there's a lot more to it. I think it packs a lot more punch than I'd give it credit for at first.
Yeah, I mean, Azul has, I would say, is a light strategy game, but I think this one actually takes it up a notch because, as you
I
said,
agree.
the board building has this whole aspect of planning and, creating, improvising a lot of times as well. But at least you have some freedom to try and make a board that's going to work well for you and try and make it happen, you know?
Yeah, and especially if you want to try and take your game to the next level, where you're actually trying to like fill rows, fill columns, you have
Yep.
to. You not only have to think about what colors and different wild cards you want to use, you also have to think about including at least one blank space, or you
Yeah.
are not going to fill a row or a column.
Yeah.
And so you need to strategically put those blank spaces in where they go. And I love that.
Yeah.
I love the different layers they've added into this game.
Yeah, the bonus chips I thought are also neat. Not only because you can trade them in to help complete a row, but they also allow you as to control the pace of the game a little bit. If you want to try and pass the choice to the other player, you can take a bonus chip and kind of effectively the momentum shifts more to them. Which sometimes you want to do. Sometimes you're hoping they'll take those reds off the moon, so then you can access the chips below, and so you take a bonus chip in order to get that to happen.
Or even placing the different tiles on your main board where you're playing your different your the different creating your board, right, where
Yes.
you're in the main tile. And when do you do that? And I think there's a whole series, like there's a whole tactical strategy around how you want to approach that bit too.
Yes.
So I don't know, I really like the mechanics of this game.
Yes. I thought they were really neat. The one other mechanic that I feel is different from this as well is the way that the tiles sort of fall to the factory floor, which is what used to be in
And
the
Azul.
original Azul.
Yep.
You take some tiles, the rest go onto the floor, and then whoever takes them from the floor takes the first victory, or sorry, the first player tile,
Right.
and loses a victory point for doing so.
Hmm.
This one, because you on most of the tables, if you will, there's only a single spot, and you have to stack the
Yes.
tokens there. you end up with this kind of other kind of level of gamemanship where you're stacking the tiles in a way that benefits you, that hurts your opponent, and you've got the big table as well with the four spaces available, for the moon there, where you
That's right.
can take anyone you like.
However, if you do that from the big moon, you also do have to take the punishment.
Yeah, or anytime you take one from the moon, if you're the first person, you have to take the punishment.
Yeah, yeah.
But
So
yeah, but it's just that part is really again, it's simple, but I find it raises the level of strategy and planning involved.
yes, agreed.
So we had a lot more to say about the mechanics there than the theme.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Well, yeah. It's
Now, component wise, obviously we played this digitally on Board Game Arena, but it's a pretty enough game, I think.
oh yeah, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, just as the original Azul is, very similar aesthetics. I
I
think
think
there's a
yeah.
nice
Yeah.
simplicity, but also nice color to it.
That's right.
Yeah. And then, so next up, comparisons to other game. Well, there's obviously the main comparison, which is going to be to the original Azul.
Yes.
So, how do you think it compares as far as that?
So I like I said, I think I like this one better. And I mean, we might get into that more later. Another one that this kind of reminds me of loosely is like a patchwork kind of
Yeah.
game. Any kind of those abstract, lighter fare games, you're going to kind of Sagrada,
Yes.
those kinds of things where it's like, they're almost like you're creating pretty patterns almost,
Yep. Yeah,
and
there's
design.
definitely an aesthetic appeal to just quietly, building your board up and placing the
And so,
tiles
and
in.
one thing about Azul Duel, I find, compared more so than those other games, is that you really need to be mindful of your opponent
Yes.
and their board. It's because there's a big piece of this game where it's also not only taking a tile that it helps you, but maybe helps you a little less, but really hurts your opponent.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. Yeah, and yeah, and or just taking the dome plate that hurts your opponent,
right,
making them draw from the draw pile, which costs them a victory point,
yes,
at least one. So yeah, there's different kind of things that makes it much more interactive, and that may be just because it is a two-player version of
right,
Azul, and maybe it's just built in. There's going to be that little more head-to-head play.
yeah.
Um, and then sort of upside downside, what did you love about this game, Cax?
You know what? Like I said, I loved how they've taken the base game of Azul and they've amplified it in my mind. I think, and I really love the changes they've made to make this a more competitive, more strategic game. If I had a little nitpick, and it's very little, it's that when you get the wild tokens to help you build, if you have two of the same thing you're looking for, you only need two. Otherwise, you need three. uh, I don't know. I don't. Maybe I'm just not. My game's not at that level where I'm planning out. Okay, I need two of the blue
Yes.
token, so I got to make sure I get two wild cards. I just nah. That feels
Yeah.
like just like a throw-in rule. So
I think it's there to help people. If you do get stuck, for example, where there's only, let's say you're building uh, the one that's five long, but there's only four tokens available. You're
right,
otherwise stuck, right? And you miss a turn essentially, like you don't get to score that
oh,
row. So
but I'm talking about the trade-in value. It's like that you can trade in two of your wild cards or
yeah,
two of your wild tokens instead of three of them. So it's like, yeah,
if they match.
if they match, that's
Yeah.
that whole matching bit. I feel was just like a throw-in rule, but that's a minor detail nitpick for me. But how about you, Nato?
Yeah.
Do you have any
No, for
upside down?
me, for me, yeah, I like this better than the original Azul. I think it ups the ante, or I don't know what to exactly say, but there's just more strategy involved with
Mm-hmm.
this one. It feels like there's less luck. There is still luck of the draw, especially if you have a set up something where you need a lot of red tiles and they're just not any
Yes,
available. That
yes,
will still happen. Um, but that aside, I think that there's much more strategy in just how you set up your board, and when you take the bonus tokens, which one you take. How do you plan that out? So there's a little more, there is still that luck element, but
Yeah.
there's a lot more planning that you can do. And sometimes Azul can feel a bit rough if you don't get the tiles you need, or it just there's not a lot you can mitigate sometimes in the original one, but this one gives you a few different ways to kind of balance that out, and I really like that.
That being said, if you've set your board, this game could punish you
Yes.
if you have like all those, like say those three bottom tiles, the four, the five, and the six, not filled, and you're not getting the tiles, you could be kind of stuck.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, I could see. I don't know. It hasn't really happened to us per se, but I could see some pretty punishing, painful games to
Oh,
endure.
yes. Yeah, if you rush to fill the top three rows,
Yeah,
and then you
and then
can.
you have nothing, and you have
Yeah.
like one or two in each of the four, five, and six rows, and you can't get those colors. You're you're hooped.
Yeah, yeah. Or yeah, if you double up, or if your opponent's drawing too many
Or
of the same color,
they're
it's
pulling it on you. Yeah,
yeah,
you've got nothing to do. Like
yeah.
you could be really in a tough spot.
Yeah, and that I would say it's similar to the original Azul in that sense.
Yeah.
But I think if you enjoy Azul, I don't really have any downsides. I like the bonus tiles, the way those work.
Okay.
Um, I can't really think of any downside. It's a very elegant design,
Very
and I
much so.
feel it elevates Azul to be a better version of that game.
So, Nato, who would you say this is for then?
I would say, I think for beginners, I actually think that they should start with the original Azul. I don't think it's not that this one's hard, and if you did start with it, I'm sure you'd be fine. But I think that this is one for people who have maybe gotten bored of the original game, or they're just looking to take things to a new level. I think this is a great opportunity to kind of expand on one's love for the game, while keeping the spirit. It definitely feels like Azul. The spirit of Azul is still there, but there's just more to do. There's more options, more to think about, and it really refreshes the original game for me.
That's it. You took the words out of my mouth. I was going to just basically say that if you love Azul, the original, you need to get Azul Duel.
Yes.
If you've got a partner, if you, and especially if you have like someone you want to play heads up with,
Yeah.
this is the game you want to have in your collection.
Yeah, which is funny because the original Azul, you can play head to head. It's not like they introduced a dual version. Like some games like King of Tokyo, you can't play the base game with two players.
No, that's
That's
right.
why they introduced the dual version.
Right,
This one, you can play two-player Azul. It's normally how I played it,
right.
and it's fine. But this, again, I think it's just the word that people are using these days for the two-player versions of games, right? So Splendor Duel,
Right.
Seven Wonders Duel. It's just
Duel,
kind of a buzzword. It means
King
two-player.
of Tokyo Duel. Right.
Got it.
Yeah, yeah. But definitely a ringing endorsement on my end for this game. This
I
is
really enjoy this game. I think
yeah,
it's great. I think it's
yeah.
really great. So thank you so much for watching. Hope this review was of use to you, and please add your thoughts in the comments.
Don't forget to get out there
Get gaming and
and
be
be
legendary.